Hello. In this workshop, we are going to be discussing assessments. There are 5 major stages in the assessment life cycle. We will look at each of the stages in detail as we progress through the workshop. But first, I will give you a brief overview. Step 1 is create. The instructor creates the test and adds test questions using the test tool. The second step is deploy. The instructor deploys the test and sets the test options. The third step is take. The student takes the test and then reviews the results. The fourth step is grade. The instructor grades the test and provides feedback. And finally, the fifth step is review. The student reviews the grade and the feedback. First, we are going to discuss assessments from the student's viewpoint, so you will be familiar with how the test questions appear to your students. Then, moving to an instructor perspective, you will learn how to create, deploy, and grade assessments. Students typically access tests from a content area, which are located on the left-hand side of the screen. Instructors may provide information following the test title if they want. After you select a test, click Continue, and the test appears. Any instructions provided by an instructor are located at the top of the test. If the test is timed, the timer starts when Continue is clicked. Along with the information you write in the description and instructions area when creating the test, students are given information about the test options you choose, such as whether they can take the test multiple times, how long the time limit is, and whether they can continue beyond the specified time. Students will also see a collapsible status bar above the test questions, showing which questions have been answered. If you have set a timer for the test, that will also appear in the status bar. Before we continue, we will discuss best practices for encouraging academic honesty. Instructors are often concerned about academic honesty when considering online assessments. While you may not be able to prevent cheating completely, you can take steps to minimize it. The first step is awareness. Have students sign an academic integrity policy and outlines expectations for honesty. Use email or chat to verify the level of a student's test content knowledge after an unexpectedly good performance. The second step is test construction. Limit both the duration of the test availability and time limit for taking it. Randomize the order in which the questions appear and the order of each question's answers. Provide a different test for those taking the test late. Use a test as a learning tool rather than a measure of fact recall. Allow students to make more than one attempt with the intent that they will return to the course content to learn what they had missed the first time. Create a follow-up assignment requiring them to demonstrate knowledge in areas not mastered at the time of the test. Pair online objective tests with subjective measures, such as writing assignments, projects, applied problems, and group work. The third step is technology. Administer tests in a proctored location if possible. If you suspect 2 students of collaborating on tests, compare the times the tests were taken and their answers and grades. We will now move on to the creation of tests. Tests are created in the Test tool. On the control panel, expand the Course Tools section, and then select Tests, Surveys, and Pools. Select Tests. The Test page displays any existing tests and allows you to build new tests. When a test is added, you can include the following basic information: the name of the test, a description, which appears under the title in the content area and at the top of the test after it is started, and instructions, which appear at the top of the test after it has started. On the test page, click Build Test. On the test information page, type a name, a description, and instructions. You can use the text editor functions to format the text and include files, images, web links, multimedia, and mashups. When you're finished, click Submit. After adding the test information, the test canvas appears, displaying the test name and any description or instructions that you have written. The second major step in creating a test is specifying the test's question settings. Question settings control the options available when creating test questions. Your selections include whether to provide the following when creating questions: feedback for individual answers, images, files, and web links in questions and answers, scoring defaults such as default point value or partial or negative credit for answers, and specifies how answers are displayed, such as random ordering of answers. On the test canvas, click Question Settings on the action bar. On the Test Question Settings page, select the options you need. The first step is feedback. Decide whether you want to provide feedback for individual answers. The second step is images, files, and web links. You can decide whether you want to add images, files, and web links to questions, or whether students can add images, files, and web links to answers. The third step is question metadata, which adds categories, topics, levels of difficulty, keywords, and instructor notes to questions. And that makes searching for questions easier. The fourth step is scoring. You can specify default points when creating questions, specify partial credit options for answers, specify negative points options for answers, and provide an option to assign questions as extra credit. The fifth step is display, which allows you to specify random ordering of answers, specify the horizontal or vertical display of answers, and specify the numbering options for answers. When you have finished, click Submit. The custom feedback provided to students is based on their correct or incorrect answers. Decide on a question-by-question basis whether to include feedback for each possible answer. You can type a default point value if all questions will be worth the same amount. You can edit the value for each individual question during question creation. Partial credit rewards students who demonstrate emerging mastery of the material. For example, you can award some of the question's possible points for an answer that lists 2 of 3 correct answers. Before you can use partial credit for answers, you must enable it in question settings. Partial credit is available for the following automatically graded question types: multiple answer, multiple choice, ordering, matching, jumbled sentence, fill in multiple blanks, opinion scale, and quiz bowl. An option to give negative credit for incorrect answers is also available for matching multiple answer and multiple choice questions. The process for adding questions to tests is similar for each question type, using the Create Question drop-down list on the action bar. The question types are listed in alphabetical order. We will create a true-false question from start to finish. At minimum, you must add the following: question text, an answer, and a point value, which you can decipher once you've submitted the question. As you can see, the 10-point default is automatically put into the points box. Depending on the test question settings selected, you may add more information for each question. For example, you may also select the display order for answers of a specific question. The next question type is the multiple choice or multiple answer question. With multiple choice questions, students select one correct answer. If you want students to select multiple correct answers, create a multiple answer question. For multiple choice questions, text boxes for 4 answers are provided by default, but you can add up to 20 answers. Multiple choice questions are graded automatically and are eligible for partial or negative credit options. On the Create Question drop-down list, select multiple choice or multiple answer. We'll do multiple choice. On the Create/Edit Multiple Choice Question page, type the question text. Format the question with the text editor if you want. Select options such as how the answers are numbered. Also select answer orientation, and then check the boxes for allowing partial credit or showing answers in random order. Type the answers in the answer text boxes. Optionally, type any feedback for correct response and incorrect response. You can add any categories, topics, levels of difficulty, or keywords to the question, which will make it easier for you to search for the question in the future. You can add any instructor notes, then click Submit. The next question type is ordering questions. When creating the ordering question type, add the answers in the correct order and then set the display order. Ordering questions are graded automatically. Ordering questions allow you to choose up to 20 answers. And then type all of the answers in the correct order in the answer boxes. Once you have finished, click Next. Use the drag and drop function to arrange the display orders for the answers. Once you have finished, click Submit. The next question type is matching. Matching questions ask students to pair items in one column to items in another column. A matching question may also include a different number of items in either the questions column or in the answers column to make the question more difficult. Questions and answers are defined in the first step of creating the question and then matched to each other in the second step. Matching questions are graded automatically and are eligible for partial or negative credit options. On the Create Question drop-down list, select Matching. On the Create/Edit Matching Question page, type the question text. Format the questions with the text editor if you want. Select options such as how answers are numbered or whether to allow partial credit. Select Number of Questions from the drop-down list. Type the questions in the question box and then their corresponding answer in the answer box. If you check off the box for Add Unmatched Answer Choices, you will be able to add answers that do not match with any of the questions. Choose how you want the answers to be presented, manually or randomly. Optionally, type feedback for correct and incorrect responses. Add categories and keywords or any instructor notes. Once you have finished, click Submit. The next question type is fill-in-the-blank questions. To create fill-in-the-blank questions, type the statement that contains the blank, and then add all the variations of correct answers. Fill-in-the-blank answers are scored based on an exact text match. Answers are not case-sensitive, but are evaluated based on spelling. Phrase the question so it is apparent where the answer goes in the context of the question. If possible, limit answers to one word to avoid mismatched answers due to extra spaces between the words, or the order of the words in the answer. If the answer is more than one word, list all acceptable possibilities of those words as answers. For example, if the answer is Benjamin Franklin, include abbreviations and partial answers in the list, such as Franklin, B. Franklin, B. Franklin, and Ben Franklin as possible correct answers. Also, provide answers that allow for common spelling errors. Fill-in-the-blank questions are graded automatically. To create a fill-in-the-blank question, on the Create Question drop-down list, select Fill-in-the-blank. On the Create Edit Fill-in-the-blank question page, type the question text. Format the question in the text editor if you want. Select the number of answers from the drop-down list. And type any response feedback. You can also type correct response feedback and incorrect response feedback. Add any categories and keywords or instructor notes. Then click Submit. The next question type is essay questions. Essay questions require students to type an answer in the text box. Text can be typed directly into the text box or pasted in from another application, such as a simple text editor like Notepad or TextEdit. Copying and pasting from a fully featured word processing program, such as Microsoft Word, may insert hidden formatting and is not recommended. Essay questions are graded manually. To create essay questions, type the question. Optionally, include a sample answer, which appears to students after they have submitted their tests and are viewing their results. Also, you can use the sample answer as a reference when grading the essays. To create an essay question, on the Create Question drop-down list, select Essay. Type the question for the essay in the question text box. Optionally, enter an answer to provide an example of a correct response. You can also attach a rubric. Add any keywords or categories and instructor notes, and when you are finished, click Submit. Now that we have discussed all of the basic test question types, we will discuss the final overall step in creating a test, which is to order the questions. By default, they are presented to students in the same order that they were added to the test. If the order of the questions is not important, skip this step. You can change the order of questions after a test is deployed without affecting the grades on existing submissions. In addition, when a test is deployed or made available to students, you can choose to display the questions randomly each time the test is taken. Add questions to a test in any order. Questions are reordered on the test canvas using the drag and drop function. I will briefly discuss the advanced question types. We won't be going through the entire creation process for each one, but I will explain what each question does and how to use them. The first is a jumbled sentence question. Jumbled sentence questions require students to complete a sentence by selecting words or phrases from a drop-down list. The same drop-down list appears for all blanks and can include both correct answers and distractors. In the following example, the jumbled sentence contains 3 blanks, but there are 6 possible answers. 3 of the answers are correct and 3 are distractors. Up to 20 different words or phrases can appear in the list. The words or phrases appear in the same order for each drop-down list. Jumbled sentence questions are graded automatically. Add the question text as students see it, but replace the missing information with variables in square brackets. For example, color is to spectrum as Y in brackets is to Z in brackets. The Y and Z represent the places in the sentence where a drop-down list appears. Variables can consist of letters, digits 0 through 9, periods, underscores, and hyphens. Variable names must be unique and cannot be reused. Next, create the drop-down list students select from to complete the sentence. As stated earlier, the list can include only correct answers, or it can contain both correct answers and distractors. On the next page, select the correct answer for each variable. You can allow partial credit, so each correct answer is allotted a fraction of the total point value. To allow partial credit, the Allow Partial Credit option for answers must be enabled in the test question settings. The next question is fill in multiple blanks. In a fill in multiple blanks question, students are presented with text containing up to 10 blanks. Students complete the sentence by typing the appropriate word or phrase for each blank. Fill in multiple blanks questions are graded automatically. To create a fill in multiple blanks question, first add the question text as the students see it, but replace the missing information with variables in square brackets, such as letters or the correct answers. For example, in first aid, the mnemonic ABC stands for X, Y, and Z. Next, you will type the correct answers, including variations in spellings, plurals, and common abbreviations. The next question type is hotspot questions. With hotspot questions, students are presented with an image and are asked to select a particular area. For example, a human anatomy question could present a diagram of the digestive system and ask students to click the esophagus. Hotspot questions are graded automatically. Ensure that you have the image file ready before beginning to create the question. You can upload the image file from your computer or link it to the course files or content collection. Images must be JPEG, GIF, or PNG files. Although there are no limitations, take into consideration the size of an image and make adjustments using an image editing application before uploading the file. The next question type is opinion scale / Likert questions. Opinion scale Likert questions are designed to measure students' attitudes or reactions using a comparable scale. By default, there are 5 answer choices ranging from strongly agree to strongly disagree, and a sixth option that allows students to select Not Applicable. You can change the text of the answer choices and adjust the number of answers from 2 to 20. Opinion scale Likert questions are graded automatically. Opinion scale Likert questions are ideal for surveys. If the questions are included in a test, an instructor must select a correct answer. If just an opinion is needed, change the point value to 0 so as not to affect the test total. The next question type is Quiz Bowl questions. With Quiz Bowl questions, students are presented with an answer to which they must provide the question. The student's response must be in the form of a question that begins with an interrogative, such as who, what, or where. For example, in the statement, "It is the only country that is a continent," requires the answer, "What is Australia?" One tip would be add instructions to the initial statement asking students to respond in the form of a question. Remind students to use a question mark. Incorrect end punctuation results in no credit for the response. Quiz Bowl questions are graded automatically. When you create a Quiz Bowl question, you provide the statement to which students must answer with an appropriate question, all possible interrogatives the question could begin with, who, what, where, and so on, all possible correct answer phrases, including variations in spellings, plurals, and common abbreviations. By default, when Blackboard Learn scores the question, a correct response contains any one of the interrogatives you added, immediately followed by one of the phrases you added, including end punctuation. To award students partial credit for responses including a correct phrase but missing the correct interrogative, enable the Allow Partial Credit option for answers in the test question settings. The last question type is Calculated Numeric Questions. With calculated numeric questions, students are presented with a question to which they must reply with a numeric answer. The question does not need to be a mathematical formula. It can be a text question that requires a numeric answer. It resembles a fill-in-the-blank question in which the correct answer is a number. Calculated numeric questions are graded automatically. You can specify an exact numeric answer, or you can specify an answer and an allowable range. If you add an answer range, the question is scored as correct if it falls anywhere within the range. Now that we have learned about all the question types, we will discuss question pools. A question pool is a collection of questions that can be stored for repeated use. You can export and import pools for use in other courses. Questions in a pool are almost identical to test questions. They can contain feedback, metadata, and all the other elements of a test question, but they do not contain point values. Instructors typically use pools to create a database of questions that they can reuse in multiple tests. For example, an instructor for a course on sustainable living can create a question pool for each of the central topics in the course. For example, that instructor might have created 3 pools, one for diet, one for housing, and one for energy, and then each pool would contain questions based off of those subjects. You cannot deploy pools or make them visible to students. However, during the test creation, you can find questions to include by searching pools. For example, our instructor can create a final exam consisting of questions taken from each of the topic pools. You can also create a test containing a random block of questions drawn from a specific pool. Each time a test is taken, a random selection of questions is drawn from the specified pool. For example, our instructor can create an end-of-unit quiz consisting of 20 questions taken from the diet pool. For example, if that instructor had 100 questions in the diet pool, then 20 random questions would be taken out of that pool. You can create and manage pools from the Pools page. Access pools from the Control panel in the Course Tools section. Creating a pool is almost identical to creating a test. The overall steps include the following. Build the pool. Students do not see the pool name, description, or instructions, so the information you add is only for your purpose. Specify the pool's question settings. These are identical to a test question settings, except there are no scoring options. For example, there is no option to add default point values because pool questions do not have points assigned. You can assign points to the questions after they have been added to a test, and then add the questions. The process in Pool is identical to the process for adding questions to a test. You can edit Pool questions at any time. If you want to edit a Pool question that is currently being used in a test, you can choose to submit your changes or save the edited version as a new question. If you submit, edits such as changing the designated correct answer will cause any existing submissions to be regraded. Choosing Save as New will create a separate edited version of the question and will not cause regrading. Note: if any students are in the process of taking a test, you may not be able to edit the questions until they have submitted their work and the test is no longer in progress. I'm going to create a very quick true and false question so that I can show you the edit process. So as you can see, the new question has been added to the pool, and this is under all pool questions. If I want to edit this question, you click on the action link next to the question text. To edit the question, click Edit. You can also delete the question by clicking Delete. By clicking Edit, it brings you back to the same Create, Edit, True/False question page, where you can make your edits and then click Submit. As well as selecting specific questions to include in a test, you can specify that a random selection of questions be presented each time that a test is taken. To do this, you create a question set, or a random block. A question set is a collection of questions retrieved from the selected tests and pools. From this set, you specify how many questions to present. The specific questions presented are randomly chosen for each time the test is taken. For each question set, you can specify the pools and tests the question set collects the questions from, the type of questions to be included in the question set, and the number of questions to be included in the question set. To create a question set, create or access a test. On the test canvas, point to Reuse Question on the action bar to access the drop-down list. Select Create Question Set. On the Create Question Set page, search for questions using the Browse Criteria options. Select the question types to include in the test, select the checkbox in the header row to select all questions, or select each question individually. Then click Submit. The question set has been added to the test. Once you're here, you can assign the total number of questions to present to students by clicking inside the box and then changing the number and click Submit. Type a point value per question. The point value you add is assigned to every question in the set. You cannot assign a separate point value for individual questions in the same question set. Click to reveal or collapse the questions in the set to view, edit, or delete individual questions. When you add questions to a test using the Question Set feature, each question is linked. Therefore, if you change the original question, the revised version of the question appears. After the test with the linked question is deployed, the question no longer reflects revisions made to the original. Random blocks also randomly select questions from a pool to be presented each time the test is taken. Unlike question sets, each random block can only be drawn from a single pool. You cannot draw random blocks of questions from tests or more than one pool. To create a random block, access a test. On the test canvas, point to Reuse Question on the action bar, and then select Create Random Block. On the Create Random Block page, select a pool. Select at least one question type to include in the test. All questions that meet the criteria will be added to the block. Since I only have one question in the pool, only one question is appearing. Review your selected questions and then click Submit. The random block of questions has been added to the test. You can change the number of questions to display and then change the points per question if you wish. You can also preview the questions that match selected criteria. Now that we have created the test, we are going to learn how to deploy the tests, which means that we are going to add the test to a content area, learning module, lesson plan, or folder, and make it available to students. We will go through the steps for adding a test to a content area. You can add each test only once to a specific content area, learning module, lesson plan, or folder. In the Grade Center, a column is created automatically for each test you deploy in your course. First, ensure that your edit mode is on, and access the content area where the test will be added. On the action bar, from the Assessments drop-down list, select Test. On the Create Test page, select a test from the Add Test box. Once you are finished, click Submit. After an existing test is added to a content area, the Test Options page appears. The Test Options page allows you to control the test settings, including instructions, availability, feedback, timer options, and presentation. If a name or description of the test is changed, the changes appear in the content area and the Grade Center column is updated with the new name. First, add any name or description for the test. Select whether to open the test in a new window. Next, select the radio button next to Yes to make the test available. Select whether or not you want to add an announcement for this test. Select whether or not you want multiple attempts for the test, and you can choose between unlimited attempts and a specific number of attempts. Choose whether or not you want to force completion, which means that once the test has started, it must be completed in one sitting. Choose whether or not you want to set a timer, and then select the time for the test. You can also limit the test by date by entering a date in the Display After or Display Until fields. You can also require a password for the test. Optionally, you can also add a due date for the test. You can choose whether the test is going to be used for self-assessment or that the test will be included in Grade Center score calculations. Select what kind of feedback you want to provide for students. You can choose score, submitted answers, correct answers, or feedback. Finally, choose your test presentation mode, which you can choose either all at once or one at a time. You can also prohibit backtracking, which prevents the changing of an answer to a question that has already been submitted. Finally, you can randomize your questions for each test attempt. When you are finished, click Submit. Some types of questions, such as true, false, and multiple choice questions, are graded automatically, while others, such as essay questions, must be graded manually. You also have the option of adjusting a grade for an automatically graded question. For example, if a student defends an answer selection successfully, you can edit the grade for the question. You can access tests that are ready for grading from the Needs Grading page or from the full Grade Center. To access either of these options, click Grade Center on the control panel, and then either click Needs Grading or Full Grade Center. We are going to click the Needs Grading. To grade an item, hover over the item name and then click the action link. Choose to grade all users or grade anonymously. If you choose Grade Anonymously, student names will be changed to Student 1, Student 2, etc. Grade All Users will provide you with a username for each student. On the grade test page, review the student's answers and grade any questions that require manual grading. If a rubric is associated with an essay, file response, or short answer question, click View Rubric to use the rubric to grade that question. Optionally, provide any feedback for students for written questions like essay questions. For questions that needed to be graded manually, click into the box on the upper right-hand corner and type the grade. If you want to override an automatically graded question, you can also click into the box and type a grade. Once you have finished grading, you can type feedback to the user and also type grading notes for yourself. Optionally, use the text editor functions to format the text and include files, images, links, multimedia, and mashups. Once you have finished, click Submit. If there were more than one attempt, you could click Save and Next, which would bring you to the next student's submission. You can delete questions from a test canvas before a test is deployed or after it has been deployed. You can also delete a question if there are test submissions, which removes it from the test, along with any possible points earned. Test attempts are regraded as if the test question had not been included in the test. If any of the students are in the process of taking the test, you will not be able to delete questions until they have submitted their work and the test is no longer in progress. You can delete questions from the full Grade Center. To edit or delete questions when a test submission already exists, access the test from the Grade Center. Click the action link next to the column heading for the test, and select Edit Test. On the test canvas, click the action link next to the question you want to edit, and click Edit. Make your edits and then click Submit and Update Attempts to save your changes. Click OK. This brings us to the end of the assessments workshop. Thanks for watching.